You went and learned everything you could about marketing. How did you do that? Like what if someone's in this now? And what I found a lot with horse professionals, they're very good technicians. They're very good at what they do, whether it's the veterinary work or dental work or photography or training or instruction. It's this part that it's just not in their wheelhouse. So
Right.
how did you do that? And what would you recommend people to do if they really good at what they do, but they're not good at marketing? What were your steps?
Yeah, I think I don't know that I had steps back then. I was just like, so determined to do stuff. But what I did do, Jamie, is I bought a 6 disc CD set back then of a guy named Jay Abraham, and I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but
Very much so. Yeah.
he has very great information on business and marketing, and he had a CD set on geometric growth in your business. And of course, it caught my attention. I'm like, well, we want to grow geometrically. I don't want to just grow by addition. So, what we started doing, what I learned from listening to those audios, and I had books of his too, is that you can chunk your business. And what I mean by that is you can say, okay, inventory is one part of my business, client retention is one part of my business, attrition is another part of my business. Um, product sales are a part of my business. There's all different parts of overhead expenses, and then there's revenue. Well, you can look at all the different parts of revenue. You can look at all the different parts of expenses, and then when you start breaking them down, and you say, well, look, if I can cut 20% of my inventory costs just by shopping around at different pharmaceutical companies or whatever, well, that's 20% growth right there in that part of the business. If I could provide more value when I go out to the farms, then I can add a sheath cleaning, or I could do something else. I could get, you multiply that by 40 extra sheath cleanings a week. That's thousands of dollars per year extra revenue, right? So you start looking at different things and realizing if I could pick up 10% here, 20% there, 40% in that area, you can get 70, 80%, sometimes even over 100% growth in your business just by changing a few internal things. And so once we started doing that, and then I read other books about looking outside of the industry that you're in, it might have even been Jay Abraham, I don't remember, but I started looking at all the different industries and saying, okay, what can we use in this industry? And that's kind of where the referral programs and those kind of things came from.
That's fantastic. At this point, did you consider yourself a vet or did you consider yourself a businessman? Because
I
it
think both.
sounds like you're,
I'll be honest with you. I was definitely a vet. I mean, people. I had a very good reputation in Florida as a veterinarian. In fact, I got calls for years after I gave it up of clients just still asking me to come back for them.
yeah,
So that's a great. It makes me feel great that people still think
yeah.
of me that way. But yeah, I'll be honest with you. I loved the business side of things. The fact that we were doing patents and stuff, it lit me up, that I was
Yeah.
constantly coming up with new ideas of things. Your brain starts thinking differently, right? When you're in that business mind, you see problems everywhere, but now your brain is triggered to say, well, how could we fix that? How could we do that better? And so I just got into that mode of what else can I do better? How could I provide better service for my clients? How could we be a step above everybody else? Right. And the more I kept putting thought into that, the more ideas we would come up with. I just think a lot of people get so busy in practice that they don't ever get to that part to think like that.